Mystery at Blind Frog Ranch in the wilds of Utah's Uinta Basin lies a land where legend, science, and speculation entwine like roots in fertile soil. Among desolate mesas and whispering canyons stands Blind Frog Ranch, a secluded property imbued with more questions than answers. Over the years, the ranch has attracted modern-day treasure hunters, scientists, and television crews, each drawn to the possibility of hidden wealth buried beneath its sandstone skin. The latest twist in its already mystifying saga centers on a set of ancient artifacts known colloquially as Aztec rocks, mysterious stone relics that some believe could be worth millions. The tale begins not with discovery, but with suspicion. Stories long whispered by indigenous peoples spoke of sacred land and subterranean secrets, of tunnels carved by unknown hands and precious stones that shimmered with otherworldly luster. Locals referred to the place as cursed, while others dismissed it as folklore. But all that changed when a series of inexplicable events and findings pushed the ranch into the national spotlight. Duane Ollinger, the current owner of Blind Frog Ranch, never expected his land to become a nexus of historical intrigue. Originally acquiring the property in search of gold and other valuable minerals, he and his team instead unearthed relics that defied explanation. Deep within collapsed caves and rock chambers, they stumbled upon stone artifacts marked with symbols resembling Aztec hieroglyphs. These weren't ordinary rocks. Their carvings bore uncanny precision, and their surfaces shimmered with what appeared to be trace metals, possibly gold. Some weighed heavily in the hand, as though infused with denser-than-stone material. But more than their craftsmanship or composition, it was their origin that puzzled investigators the most. Utah, far from the Mesoamerican heartlands of the Aztec Empire, seemed an unlikely site for such artifacts. The Aztecs had once ruled from the Valley of Mexico, hundreds of miles to the south. What, then, were objects resembling their artistry doing beneath a Utah ranch? Theories abounded, some historical, others fantastical. One posited that fleeing from the Spanish conquest in the early 16th century, a group of Aztecs carried sacred objects northward, hiding them in caves to preserve their cultural legacy. Another theory, favored by local law, suggested that Aztec explorers had long predated European colonists in the region, mapping trade routes that extended far into the American Southwest. If true, the implications would rewrite entire chapters of pre-Columbian history. But the rocks themselves posed deeper questions. Each stone was unique. Some bore markings resembling the Aztec calendar, others depicted animals, jaguars, serpents, eagles, connected to the mythology of Mesoamerica. One in particular showed a man-like figure surrounded by rays, suggestive of Tonatiuh, the Aztec sun god. These weren't the crude etchings of amateur artisans, but intricate designs that hinted at ceremonial significance. Experts, upon examining high-resolution scans, speculated that the carvings were more than decorative. They were maps, or perhaps mnemonic devices used in oral storytelling traditions. The value of the rocks was not merely archaeological. If the trace metals embedded in their structure proved to be gold or a rare alloy, the monetary worth alone could be staggering. Some appraisers whispered of seven-figure valuations, depending on composition and provenance. But authenticating them posed challenges. Scientific dating of stone, unlike organic material, is notoriously difficult. What could be tested was the composition of embedded materials and the weathering patterns of the carvings themselves. Preliminary lab tests, aired during an episode of the Mystery at Blind Frog Ranch television series, revealed anomalies. Isotopic ratios inconsistent with local geology and trace elements not typically found in natural rock formations in that region. That discovery fanned the flames of both excitement and skepticism. Some speculated the rocks were planted hoaxes, carefully constructed to lure attention and boost media ratings. Others believed they were genuine but misunderstood. Artifacts perhaps brought north by Spanish traders or indigenous tribes who traded across vast distances. A third group, fueled by the more esoteric leanings of the show's fan base, posited far more radical origins: ancient aliens, lost civilizations, or remnants of a pre-Ice Age global society. The Aztec rocks, in their view, were the latest puzzle piece in a long-concealed cosmic mosaic. Meanwhile, deeper excavations at the ranch continued to turn up strange phenomena. Natural caverns revealed unexpected structural features: support beams, stone staircases, and air shafts, indicating deliberate engineering. Seismic scans showed what appeared to be metallic anomalies, and electromagnetic readings spiked irregularly across the property. Water flowed through subterranean channels, impossibly pure, as though filtered through unknown means. Some even claimed it possessed healing properties. The Aztec rocks became totemic, symbols of the ranch's larger mystery. For Duane Ollinger and his team, the rocks represented both a promise and a peril. Their discovery attracted the attention of academic institutions, treasure hunters, and government agencies alike. Scientists arrived, eager to examine the materials under controlled lab conditions. Historians debated the implications of cultural diffusion that such artifacts suggested. Private collectors discreetly offered to purchase them, sometimes through intermediaries, with prices climbing into the hundreds of thousands per stone. But with wealth came danger. Security around the ranch was heightened. Surveillance systems were installed. Armed guards became a fixture. Rumors spread of break-in attempts and mysterious figures prowling the desert perimeter at night. One particularly chilling incident involved a helicopter flying low over the property in the dead of night, its spotlight scanning the canyon floor before vanishing into the black sky. The team could only speculate who it belonged to. The stones, still largely unverified, sat in a secure vault on the ranch grounds, catalogued, photographed, and occasionally shown to select visitors. Some believed more were hidden within the deeper chambers of the cave systems below. The danger of collapse and toxic gas emissions made exploration risky, yet the team pressed on, driven by a mixture of ambition, curiosity, and a sense of destiny. The show's narrative, while dramatized for television, couldn't capture the full gravity of what was unfolding. The Aztec rocks were no longer just potential treasure. They were portals into lost time. For the indigenous tribes of the region, the rocks stirred older memories. A Navajo elder consulted during the excavation process spoke of sky stones passed down in oral traditions, stones said to hold the knowledge of ancestors from the south. He urged caution, warning that not all things buried were meant to be unearthed. As weeks turned into months, the rocks became symbols of something larger than themselves, a microcosm of the eternal tension between past and present, science and story, greed and reverence. Were they the final vestiges of an empire seeking sanctuary from conquest? Or were they modern myth, etched and buried to revive a history that never was truth, as always, remained elusive? Yet the world watched. Collectors hungered. Academics debated, viewers speculated, and beneath the ochre stands of Blind Frog Ranch, the rocks remained, silent, inscrutable, waiting. Their worth could be counted in millions, or in the reshaping of human understanding. Perhaps both, perhaps neither, but one fact remained clear. These stones, whether forged by human hand or some greater force, had found their way to the surface, and they would not be forgotten. Beneath the shifting soil and layered rock of Utah's Uinta Basin lies a hidden riddle carved in stone. It's not just the land that holds secrets, it's what sleeps within it. In the rugged, wind-swept corners of Blind Frog Ranch, strange artifacts have begun to surface. At first glance, they appear to be just weathered chunks of stone, but a closer inspection reveals something far more perplexing: strange etchings, metallic veins, and artistic signatures that speak of a civilization hundreds of miles and several centuries removed from this place. Some believe these are Aztec relics. Others whisper they are something even older. Whatever their origin, one fact has become hard to ignore: these rocks could be worth millions. Blind Frog Ranch has always worn its mystery like a second skin. It is a place of myths, oddities, and unanswered questions. Rumors have circulated for decades about buried treasure, ancient tunnels, and inexplicable geological phenomena. The ranch, owned by Duane Olina, has been the subject of intense investigation, both by private explorers and television crews determined to unlock its secrets. But none of the previous findings had quite the shock factor of what appeared to be Aztec-style stones unearthed in a labyrinth of caverns below the surface. The rocks in question aren't ordinary debris or simple archaeological finds. They are dense, irregularly shaped, and covered in engravings that resemble Mesoamerican glyphs. Some are marked with familiar Aztec iconography: sun rays, stylized serpents, even figures that seem to be clad in ceremonial garb. The lines are clean and deliberate, as though chiseled with tools far more advanced than one might expect from wandering tribes or unskilled imitators. What's more, many of the stones contain streaks of what appears to be precious metal: gold, silver, and in some cases, a strange alloy that has yet to be conclusively identified.